episode 8 of the Tying Toolbox. Hopefully you guys got through that last episode. I know that was pretty dense, but this one we're going to slow it down quite a bit. We're going to talk about rubber legs. This is an accessory piece that just gets added to quite a few flies, everywhere from dry flies to nymphs to streamers. I want to talk a little bit about the best ways to tie those in. There's a couple of just super quick techniques that we're going to show you guys that'll make your life a little bit easier when dealing with rubber legs. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is tying the legs in on the same side. So this one's pretty easy. We're just going to make a wrap around. And again, the deal here is to make sure that they stay tight, is to do not wraps right on top of each other, but spread it out just a little bit. So get that loose wrap over the top, pull tight to get that pressure to lock it in. Do 1 or 2 wraps forward and 1 or 2 wraps back. There we go. So that's going to lock those legs in on a side. So then you can do the exact same thing on the other side. Those will add a little bit of bulk to a fly. Another thing you could do, say you're tying streamers, is if you have those rubber legs tied in, instead of tying in 2 separate legs in one spot, we're actually going to tie in these legs and then fold a leg over and double it and wrap back over the top of it like this. That's going to create a much stronger leg because you've got a spot in the middle that's holding it, and then the legs are coming backwards, which is much better because those rubber legs will stretch and narrow in diameter if they get pulled. So you don't want to tie them in by the tips. It's better to have 2 legs tied in at the middle with both of them pointed rearwards like this. Another way to tie in rubber legs is I really like this technique when I'm tying in, say, nymph legs. We're using some thicker legs here just so that you guys can see them a little better, but I love this technique. So we've got these round rubber legs that are actually barred, and these are my favorite legs to use for tying in as nymph legs. So we're actually going to tie these guys in with an X pattern right about in the middle of the legs. Obviously, it's easier to trim them one way or the other if you get them too long, but if you shoot to try them in the middle, that's great. So we've got these X wraps here that they're tied in, and just give them a pull on either side. That kind of stretches those legs out, makes them a little more narrow, and compresses the thread wraps down to the X. Now that you've got them tied in with those X wraps, I love these round rubbers because this is actually 2 legs put together. Then you come in with your dubbing needle or your bodkin, slide it in the middle of these 2 and open them up. So that way those legs are actually the same, they're all the same length, they're tied in the same way. Really helps splay these legs out nice and even by doing that technique. So I really like that. One of the things when a lot of times you'll be using a body material to wrap around the legs, like a chenille or potentially like a brush. You can also use that brush to help you kind of push the legs one direction or another, help spread them out, put a wrap in the middle of them to kind of spread them out. Get creative with the rubber legs. They're an awesome tool to use. They're super cheap. They come in every color under the sun. You can certainly add them to almost any fly out there to give a little more movement, a little more river appeal. But in the next episode, we're going to be talking about another fly accessory, flash, and how to add different types of flash to your fly.